Hey guys, so I decided to do my labor and delivery story while I'm in the hospital because I'm bored and there's nothing else to do. She's asleep. I'll probably show you guys her in a second after I get done. Okay, this all started, you guys know I was 1 centimeter, I was 60% of face at my last appointment, which was last Wednesday, and then my next appointment would have been Tuesday. I came in Sunday because I really didn't feel her move, and I'm used to like just her move. Like she wasn't really an active baby, but I was used to her moving enough to where it would make me feel comfortable, and I wasn't comfortable at all. Like I felt her, I knew she was alive, but I didn't know if maybe her cord was wrapped around her neck and it was, slowing her down or something. I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. And by that time, I was 39 weeks and 3 days. So we went in after church on Sunday. So church ended around 11:45, 12, and we got here, I want to say like 12:30. So we were here at 12:30. We got here at like 12 on Sunday, 12:30, and when I came in, I got hooked up, I got weighed and everything, and she just started moving like crazy, like she was breakdancing, and it was serious. Like she was like, "Mommy, I'm okay," and she started moving really, really hard. And I was hooked up to the monitor, so they were catching it, and the nurse was like, "Oh yeah, she's moving, whatever." So I felt stupid, like they probably don't believe me, like I guess. And then all of a sudden, I had like a really strong contraction. I was probably hooked up to the machine probably an hour, and they were about to send me home, and I had a really strong contraction, and her heart rate just dipped, like, went down, scary. So they had to, like, flip me around, flip me back and forth, change positions. They told me to get up on my knees. So I did that, and the heart rate went back up. So then the doctor came in, and she was watching while that was happening or whatever, and she told me that I'm going to have to stay like a little bit longer just to monitor and, just to make sure that everything's okay and that maybe, that was a fluke or whatever. So we stayed. This was probably, by that time, it was probably like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we stayed till like about 5, and I guess her heart rate was doing it again or whatever. And the doctor came in and told me that she wanted me to stay overnight and be monitored overnight. So we stayed overnight. He went home. He got the bags and everything just in case, and we stayed overnight. During the night, her heart rate dipped during contractions like about 5 times during the night. And I had to be hooked up to oxygen. It was so scary. And there was another doctor, because the doctor from the morning, she left, or from the afternoon, she left and went home. And another doctor had came in, and he told me that, we're just going to go ahead and induce you because her heart rate is dipping too much. And he said we're going to wait till the morning or whatever, because he left probably around like 7 in the morning, and by that time it was probably like 12 when he told me, no, it was like 9 when he told me that I was going to be induced the next morning. So all night her heart rate would dip, and I'd have to get hooked up and to the oxygen and everything. It was really scary. And eventually we made it through the night, and the doctor from the previous day, so the doctor from Sunday came in the morning. She came back. So she came back around 7. And when she came, she was talking to me. She was like, "Okay, so we're going to induce you." And, she was like, "I'm not sure if, because her heart rate was dipping during contractions. So I'm not sure if she's going to be able to go through the contractions, but we're going to try Pitocin because we can stop you on Pitocin. We can turn it on and off, because they were going to do a pill on your cervix or whatever, but, you can't mess with a pill, because a pill you can't stop. So if something was to happen, I'd have to have an emergency C-section, which I definitely didn't want. So she was like, Pitocin will make it so that if anything happens, we can turn it off and start over or do whatever we need to do or whatever." So she left because she had to go do 2 other C-sections, and she was gone for probably about 2 hours. So this was around 8. And when she told me, I'm being induced and the risk or whatever. So I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, you know what, I feel like it would be better if I just get a C-section, because I feel like I'm going to go through this, I'm going to get Pitocin, I'm going to go through labor, all this pain and everything, but it's putting the baby into stress. The contractions is what is making her heart rate drop, and, you know, everything is just, I was like, it's just too much. Like, I just wanted it to be over. I want her to come out. I want her to be safe. I was just done with the whole situation. So I was like, I think I should get C-section. He was against it, but then after, like, we sat there and talked about it, he was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, because he really didn't want me to cut open major surgery. But I wasn't thinking about myself, you know, I was thinking about my child. So I was like, it might be easier for me to get, you know, I have to have a vaginal birth if I'm able to, but, you know, that's not enough reason, like, for me to want to endanger my child, is for me to be able to heal faster. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a C-section. So the doctor came back in around 10, and I told her I want a C-section. I don't even want to try the Pitocin. I just want to go ahead and get the C-section. And she agreed with me. She was like, you know, I think that's the best choice or whatever. Which is stupid, because I'm like, you should have told me it was the best choice in the beginning and not gave me a choice. Because I was going back and forth in my mind, like, oh my God, I don't know what I should do. Am I doing this right? Like, what if I labor? Like, I want to labor, but what if something happens to her? What if I end up getting an emergency C-section, getting rushed in, all that stuff? And it was just so stressful. This is at around like 10. Well, no, by the time we actually talked about it and everything, it was around 12 by that time. So 12 on Monday. And yeah, so she was like, okay, so you're going to do the C-section. And that's it. And so I signed all the paperwork, and they gave me some type of thing in it, because I already had IV. So they gave me some type of thing in my IV for acid or whatever in your stomach or something, even though I hadn't ate for like 10 hours before that, but they did that just in case. And then it was just so quick. I had to sign all this paperwork, and they just wheeled me off. Like, it was like really quick. By 12, so this is at 12 when we decided we're going to C-section. By 12:35, 12:40, I was already in the OR like area, and they were getting prepped and everything. And my husband couldn't come in there, so I'm like crying, I'm bawling, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to get a spinal, and I'm not in any type of pain, so I know it's coming, and I care. Like, if I was in pain with Pitocin or in labor or whatever, then, you know, I'd be like, give me the epidural. I don't care how much pain it's gonna hurt, you know, whatever. So I'm freaking out about this big ass needle that's about to go on my back. And yeah, so he was just like, you know, just go ahead and just try to knock it out or whatever. So I go in there, and they're talking to me and trying to calm me down, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is really real, like, it's scary. So I bent over. The spinal really didn't hurt that much. Basically, it felt like a bee sting, because they numb you first. That part felt like a bee sting, so that was like the worst part, but it really didn't like hurt. And then, so he did that part, and then I guess he put the big ass needle on my back. Didn't feel it after the bee sting. And I kind of jumped at first when he did the first initial, like, numb. But, yeah, they were holding me and told me to, like, put my back into a C type thing. After that, they laid me down, and I started to feel like my feet was, like, kind of, like, hot. And it kind of, like, rose up, and then everything started to get numb. It basically feels like if your foot was to fall asleep, it basically feels like that, and then it starts to get, like, numb. So, like, if at first feels like your foot's asleep, basically. So then after that, they started, like, touching me and poking me and stuff and making sure, like, I couldn't feel everything or whatever. And they, like, washed me down or whatever with that special soap, the brown soap, whatever, that they wipe on you. And they sterilized everything, put up the sheet, and then they called my husband in. And he had already, you know, scrubbed up and everything. So he came in and sat by my head, and they just started working on me. And that probably took about, like, just 10 minutes. Like, it was just really, really quick. And they cut me open, and I was telling him to look and, you know, just, like, look, take a picture. Make sure you take a picture, look. So he couldn't take a picture, of course, of them operating on me, but he was sitting there watching through the little crack. And they were, like, the doctors were cracking up, because they were like, my first time seeing a C-section, I, like, passed out. And he's sitting there just, like, just watching. But I think he was really, like, concerned, making sure that I wasn't like bleeding out and dying, because that's how he acted. Like he was like really, really scared, like really quiet, and that's usually not him. So it was really cute that he was like worried about me. And yeah, so they cut me open, and then like 10 minutes later, they were like, okay, she's coming. They like pressure, and they pushed her down on my stomach, pulled her out. So I felt the pressure, the pushing of my stomach. Pulled her out. This little girl came out screaming, and she started, I think she peed on the nurse, and I'm still like drugged up, so I'm just like, oh, and I looked over and I hear her screaming, so I started bawling, like crying, just because I hear her crying. I couldn't even see her, I just heard her crying. And my husband looks at me, he's tearing up, and he's like, look what came out of you, look what you did. And I'm just like bawling, and oh my God, it was like, about to start crying right now. It was just like, I can't even describe like the feeling of, like, you know you're pregnant, but like that feeling of actually like seeing your baby come out. Not even like, because I couldn't really see her, you know, but like the feeling of actually knowing. So luckily I was just saved by my husband, because I was about to bawl, but he called me and I cut the video off. But anyway, so where was I at? So yeah, just the feeling that you get, like actually seeing your child, hearing your child, whatever, like it's incredible. Like it's just like love at first sight, first sound, whatever. It's just like love, I swear. I never felt anything like that. But yeah, so my husband was crying, I was crying, and she was screaming, but then it was like she was gargling. So they were putting the tube down her throat, and I was asking the doctor, because I could see her, because they kind of moved the curtain a little bit so that I could see her, just her. And I told the doctor through the curtain, I'm like, was the fluid clear? Like there was no meconium in the fluid, was it? And she was like, no, it was clear, everything was good. She didn't have a bowel movement in the womb, which is meconium, and it can make your baby really sick. It can make your baby have pneumonia, any type of like really bad illness, and keep them in the NICU, and you know, it's just a lot. So I was asking her about that. She said everything was good with that, and but she was still over there gurgling, and they were trying to get the fluid out of her lungs. So they said she just like, when she came out screaming, she inhaled a lot. He went with her, but then I guess they told him to go back, because they were like working on her and whatever. So he came back to me. He was like, you know, they told me to come back or whatever, and then he was like, basically going back and forth between me and her. And because I guess he can kind of see through the glass, I guess he was saying, but he couldn't really see. And he was just like trying to stay strong for me, basically, and not break down. And I was getting stitched up and freaking out and crying. And then they wheeled me off into the recovery area, and I was sitting in the recovery area, and I just was crying, because the doctors came to me and they were like, you know, she has a lot of fluid in her lungs. And she's just not breathing well because of all the fluid that's in her lungs. And if this continues, then we're going to have to take her, like I was telling you guys about there's no NICU here. So if something was to happen, they'd have to take her to like a special NICU, which is the next hospital, which is only about like 20 minutes. It's like right around the corner. But still, I would have to stay here, and having a C-section, I would have to be here for 3 nights. So if she was to be if she would have been sent, I would have had to stay here by myself for 3 nights, and my husband had to go, you know, back and forth. And it was just like, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, nothing. And I hadn't seen her. I saw her, but I hadn't seen her face, nothing. Like I didn't know what was going on. I was freaking out. I was like, I just want to see my baby. They wouldn't let me see her. So I'm freaking out in the recovery room, like, can I go see my baby now? Can you wheel me over there? Uriah had a picture of when she had first came out, so he showed me that to kind of calm me down. That made me feel a little bit better. And then after that, they were like, no, you can't. And I was already, like, drugged up off of morphine. So I remember crying. I remember past, like, a certain point. Like, I remember being in the recovery room, recovering. I remember seeing the picture of her. I remember freaking out, wanting to see her. They let me see her around 5, because by the time I came out of surgery and everything, it was, like, 1-ish. So by 5, they let me go in there and see her, because she was kind of stabilized, but she was on oxygen, so she had a bubble over her head, which made me cry. So I went in there and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this something that I did? Did I not take enough vitamins? Like, I was just like, I go about to cry again. I just really felt like I didn't know if it was something that I did. And I wanted to, I wanted to make sure that it was something I did or whatever. And I was talking to the doctor, and he said everything was fine. He was like, you know, things like this happen. They come out the womb, and she had a good set of lungs, basically, because she was screaming. And when she screamed and sucked in, that's what kind of happened. And he said it's normal, but it's just like how much fluid she sucked in, and this, you know, hospital doesn't really deal with that type of stuff. So yeah, so she was on like 40% oxygen by that time, 5 o'clock, and they were just making sure she was okay, stabilizing her. We went back to a room, like basically this room, my recovery room, and we're sitting here, and he's talking to me. Rod's going back and forth between me and the baby because I had a C-section. I couldn't move and go anywhere that much, so he was going. I kept telling him to take pictures or whatever, and he would take pictures, but it would be of her with monitors and wires on her. And my family kept asking me for pictures, and they, like my family, my close family, and everybody knew what was going on, but I wasn't about to put a picture of, like, with her in distress on Facebook. I had this picture on Facebook. And that picture basically is like when she had just came out. But yeah, so I wasn't taking any pictures that whole day. So she was born on Monday, and the whole Monday I didn't put any pictures up at all of her, the ones that he was bringing back to me. By 9 o'clock I went, and he said I freaked out. I don't really remember. I remember seeing her. I don't remember all in between. But he said I was freaking out. I was like, I want to see my baby now. Like, you guys are trying to steal my baby and all this other stuff. And I have been throwing up because of the medicine I was on with the C-section. So I was throwing up, and I was like, and you guys won't feed me. I'm hungry. Like, I was like, fuck all y'all. Like, I was so irritated. I was sad, irritated, mad, hungry, everything, all wrapped up in one. So I kind of remember half and half. They wheeled me in there on 9. I saw her at 9. She still had the bubble over her. She still had 40% oxygen. And I just held her little finger, and I was just looking at her, and I was like, Mommy loves you. And then I left, and I think I wanted to stay up. I tried to stay up. I was like, no, I want to be here. I want them to come in here. I was like, if you know, something happens, I want to be awake. If they call me, maybe if she's stable, maybe they'll call me in the middle of the night, let me come get her. I don't want to fall asleep or whatever. My husband, let me tell you about this man. First of all, he was like Superman all day, going back and forth, trying to hold back tears. Like, my husband is like, and he's not even sensitive at all. He does not cry. He doesn't whine. He doesn't do any of that. So to see him even cry happy tears, that was like, whoa. Like, he doesn't do that. So he just like stepped up and like, I don't even know. So when I was like, no, I'm not going to sleep, like, I'm staying up, blah, 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 because I'm very strong-minded, and he usually just lets me have my way. He told me, no, you're going to sleep, you're not getting up, you're laying down. He took my phone, because I wanted to talk to my friends and family and everything. Took my phone, was answering my calls for me. He was like, Marseille's asleep, no. He's texting people, Marseille's asleep, she's getting rest, you know, we'll let you guys know in the morning, prayers are welcome, whatever, but don't, you know, do not disturb, basically. And he put my ass to sleep. Like, I don't but I woke up the next morning, and probably around 8, the doctor came in, and her pediatrician came in, which is the ones that we picked for her. They came in and told me that she's perfect. She was off oxygen, like 100% perfect, and nothing was wrong. She said that there's not going to be any lasting effects from it. She was like, it was just something that happens during birth. It was just normal, like, you know, something that happens during birth or whatever, and that it's not like lasting. It's not a lasting effect. So that we can go in there and see her, and if everything is great, then of course she can come into the room with me. So this was Tuesday, and so Tuesday at like 8 is when I got the good news. So after I woke up and I ate something, I took a shower. My incision is like real low, real bikini cut, and they put dissolvable stuff. I don't think it's not staples, because she was saying it's not staples, but it's something, I think it's stitches or something, but it's dissolvable, so they won't have to go in there. And then they put some clear type thing that's like sealed off, and they put that on there, so there's no type of like bandage that they have to keep on, unbandaging and touching and all that stuff. So it's like 100% sealed, and so I can go and take a shower and all that stuff and not have to worry about it. So I got up, I took a shower. She had me walk and for the first time, because that was my first time getting out of the bed. Took a shower, got dressed, and then I went in the NICU, and this was probably about 10, and she was just looking around all alert and everything, and we got to hold her. I got to do like skin to skin. I tried to breastfeed. Right now we're kind of working on that because I'm not having any type of like anything. I'm not having any colostrum, which is supposed to come in before your milk. I'm not having any milk, like nothing, no drops, nothing. And I pumped, and I put her up to my breast and everything, but nothing's really working. So we're kind of waiting for that to come in. But right now I'm supplementing with Similac, and then once it comes in, I want to either probably do both or maybe wean her off Similac. I haven't decided yet, because I might just pump and just put it in a bottle. So ever since Tuesday at 10 o'clock, they washed her. We put some clothes on her because I didn't want to, I don't know. Like I told you guys, I know the doctor gives you clothes and everything, but I wanted her to wear the clothes that I had. And plus I hadn't seen her the first day of her life. Like, I only seen her a couple times. So I was like, I want to bond with her. I want her to be dressed to impress. So I dressed her up. I'll put pictures in here. So she's been here ever since. She's been great. They've been checking on her. They check her lungs, they check her heart, they check her temperature. She weighed 7 pounds 7 ounces at birth. Last night the nurse weighed her. She weighed 7 pounds 1 ounce, which usually they lose weight, they said, after birth. So, she's 7 pounds. She was 20 inches long, and she was born at 1 p.m. on October 28th, Monday. And we're getting released tomorrow morning. Halloween, my due date. So, that's about it. That's my labor and delivery story. And I don't think if I left anything out, I'll just talk about it at my postpartum or whatever update that I do next. Because right now, what is she, like 2 days? 2 days old. So, thanks for watching, guys. Comment, subscribe, and I'll definitely be back. I'll probably be back next week, I want to say, for her 1 week update, maybe. 1 week or 2 week, depending on how I feel. It'll probably be 1 week because we won't be doing anything at home but sitting there and going to appointments or whatever. So I'll see you guys next week. Like I said, comment, subscribe, and thank you guys. And thank you guys for following my pregnancy journey and being there for me and just like everything. Because, I love you guys. You guys are like my family, like my little internet fam. So thank you. Thank you for following me. Thanks for everything. And thanks for watching. And stay tuned for our family now. So thanks, guys. Bye.